Yeah, just before we go, you are aware that the new fuel price regime will take off today. Well, if you weren't, now you are. Let's listen to someone who might be able to give us an understanding of how we came to this point and what to expect going forward. Joe Ajero joins us now. He's Deputy President of the NLC as well as General Secretary, National Union of Electricity Employees, NUEE. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. Well, this was part of the conversations that your union had, with the federal government about this matter. How did we get here, and how do we ensure that we don't get here again?
Well, thank you very much and good morning. Every Nigerian witnessed what happened, after the first increase of, and then which the labor unions had an agreement with the federal government to look at the ways of cushioning the effects of the increase. And so many committees were set up, including the committees handling the issue of tariff increase in electricity. But the two came almost immediately. And then while the discussion was on, the committees were yet to even commence work as far as the issues concerning increases in pump price of petroleum products were concerned, only for us to hear the other announcement of another 7 naira increase. Because at that point that the NLC wrote to the federal government, and after about 2 weeks, a meeting held, and we demanded for a reversal, total reversal. The meeting had to stay met. There was a because it appears, by that time they were not serious with the issues, and they seem not to have grappled with the effects of such increase on Nigerians. So after the stalemate, we met again, and then insisted on reversal again, because we did agree for another discussion last week, where they now say they can operate based on 5 naira reduction. In actual fact, we lost 2 naira, and that 2 naira may not be too good, but at least we got something out of it. And instead of them to adjust immediately, they said they needed a week to adjust. And we agreed on Monday, being today. And the week, according to them, was, some people have already purchased the product. And if you say immediately, that 5 naira might be their interest, they may be at loss. So today, we're expecting some of the marketers, or if not all, to adjust without further delay. So all Nigerians should be on the lookout to see to the extent that this agreement may have been, implemented.
Well, the question a number of people, the Nigerians you're talking about now, might be asking is this in any way a return to the subsidy regime or some adjustments that people need to understand? What exactly is at play here with this reduction?
Well, what it shows is that there's nothing like deregulation. Deregulation has not actually taken place, and that's the point we wanted to make clearly. You can't regulate in a deregulated sector or economy. For the NNPC to have even announced it, shows that it was still price manipulation, price adjustment, which has nothing to do with regulation or deregulation. Because if they had actually deregulated, you can't be selling fuel the same thing you are selling it in Port Harcourt or Warri or Lagos or kind of the same price. So, and we needed to make this point clearly, that there is nothing like deregulation. If they are talking about subsidy, they are here to tell us how it works. Because in ordinary barter trades, you have your crude and you take it to people that are buying it and they give you a refined product. Would have served us better than telling us that you sell your crude, you refine it there, you pay in, costs, transport costs and freight costs, and you bring it back and you add all those costs, you expect Nigerians to pay. So none of these things are working. So I think they need to tell Nigerians another thing apart from what they are saying now. Sector
Well,
has not really been regulated.
well, another question on that one then would be,
But one thing
if
that is
this
clear
is not,
is that
yeah,
the sector is import driven.
okay, if this is not deregulation and this, fuel price continues to increase the way it is, what then will a fully deregulated petroleum sector of the entire petroleum industry be like for Nigerians, and what's the plan to make sure that it doesn't bite any harder than it already does?
Well, if the agreement we had was that the refineries here must work, and then some of them will have some of the equipment they require to fix them. If the refinery is working, I think we may not bother ourselves with all this issue of foreign market international prices of a product that is domestically produced here. Until that, and that's what the NLC said, that you can't even increase this price again until you repair the refineries and we produce it locally here. Now, so long as you continue to devalue the currency, they will continue to tell you that the price has increased, the price has increased. The same thing is coming to happen even in the power sector, where the memorandum of understanding with the discos and the producers shows that these things will be dependent on inflation, and the devaluation of the currency.
Well,
So
Mr. Jero, just one moment. We'll take a break for a few messages, and when we return, we'll take your concluding thoughts on this program. Do stay with us. Well, thanks for staying with us. This is our concluding moments now with Mr. Jero.
Oh, yes. Mr. Jero, the day has finally come, right? And a lot of Nigerians will be going to the filling stations to see how much they'll buy petrol for. You have said you agreed with the minister for a 5 naira reduction, but the marketers are saying that is not possible, and they gave their reasons. So the question will be, did you get the buy-in of the marketers of the NNPC, and did the NNPC tell you, okay, the marketers are on board, or this was just an agreement with the minister, and then what Nigerians will find at the fuel pump will be different? Just how clean and clinical was this agreement?
Well, I think the issue of the marketers buying in or not, all those things were considered. At the previous meeting, where we had this agreement of reversal, total reversal, the GMD of the NNPC asked for 1 week. In fact, it was even more than 1 week, about 10 days, to get back to us. And he was present there, the minister was present, to get back to us to announce this reversal. It was at the resume meeting that he now said, instead of from after their discussion, wide consultation, of course, including consultation with the substantive minister, whom is the president, that they can only reduce, I think, 4 naira something or 3 naira something before we now moved, negotiated up to 5 naira. So having done that, he now asked for another 1 week to operationalize it. So I don't think that after wide consultation, he came back, we met, they asked for another 1 week. Nobody is going to use the excuse of marketers or not consulting to derail this process. That would not be acceptable to Labour.
Not without conceding, really. If it so happens that marketers say, well, we're not going to reverse because it doesn't work for us, what are the options available to Labour?
Well, the implication of not keeping to agreement. Labour has options, to equally demand for even the reversal of the previous increase. There are other options left for us. There are other options of equally Nigerians insisting on the new price. I think there are a lot of options left for us, but Those are not things we are letting bear now, because we don't expect the government itself and the Minister of Petroleum, being the president of the country, to renege in this small agreement.
I recall that months back, when you started the negotiations, it was not just about fuel price increase. It was also about electricity tariff. And I recall that there was a technical committee set up comprising ministries, departments, agencies, NLC, and the TUC. And the plan was to understand the justification for the new policy in view of the need for the validation of the basis for the new cost-reflective tariff as a result of conflicting information and all that. Basically, you're meant to do a fact-finding mission as to what will really happen with electricity tariff in the country. Have you come to a conclusion on the way forward? Are we going to see an increase in the tariff, or what is the situation?
Well, we have started work, and our interim report led to the reduction of tariff in some percentages, 10%, 10.5%, 30% for those in Band C. But that was interim report, and we were supposed to have done a public hearing across the country and talk to consumers as well as the operators. So we started actually from Lagos, Ikeja, Eko, Disco, went up to Baro Disco. We couldn't continue last week because of certain challenges that some of the members of the committee, one or two of them, were quite indisposed. So we couldn't continue with Abuja and Kano. So to that extent, at the last meeting, we asked for a date to conclude by January. And because the report, the public hearing we had already is not representative enough to determine the situation. But even at that, the discos are itching for another increase. Since according to them, the agreements were based on the devaluation and some other economic indices, which we told them at our public hearing that those factors cannot determine, how electricity prices is determined in Nigeria. So we have only identified gas as the main problem because they dollarize gas. The gas that is produced in Bayelsa, in Rivers, in some other places, they first of all place a dollar price on it and then sell to Nigerians. So if we're able to determine, the gas to power policy of the country, or determine how to sell it in naira, then you will be rest assured that the price of electricity tariff will be reduced by almost 50%.
All right, Mr. Ajero. Well, most certainly, the conversation on this one and several other issues that you have raised are not going to go away unless you do something about them. But we have to thank you very much for your time and your thoughts this morning on the policies that you have discussed. Joe Ajero is Deputy President of the NLC, as well as General Secretary, National Union of Electricity Employees, NUEE. Thank you so much for your time and thoughts.